Well. What have we I'm about to say digged up here. What have we dug up around here? Let me show you something. This is from an old case, Justia Law website. District Judge, opinion, Mr. Chin, District Judge. In this case, the United States, the government, seeks to evict defendants from a building formerly used as a residence by the Deputy Consul General of the Islamic Republic of Iran. After diplomatic and consular relations with Iran were severed in 1980, the Office of Foreign Missions, or OFM, of the United States Department of State took possession of the building pursuant to the Foreign Missions Act, whatever. OFM then leased the building to defendant Jeffrey E. Epstein in 1992. Epstein then sublet the building to defendant Ivan S. Fisher in 1996, purportedly without the government's consent. Fisher, in turn, sublet a portion of the building to several subtenants. Now that's interesting. An old Iranian safe house, basically, was then leased to Jeffrey Epstein, who then leased it to this guy Ivan S. Fisher, who he then leased it to several subtenants, and I don't know which subtenants those are, but I decided to do a little search on Google even, it came up. Who the hell is this Ivan S. Fisher? Epstein rented it to him. Who's this guy? Ivan S. Fisher, born 1943, is a prominent New York City criminal defense attorney. Wonder who he's represented. Well, you're going to find out. Speaking of criminal defense, he represents white-collar clients. You know, the big boys who steal millions of dollars. Those kind of guys, the white-collar guys. And others targeted or charged in complex federal matters. In 1980, the New York Times listed him in the top 5 of criminal attorneys in New York City, and in a separate article described him as one of the nation's most sought-after and highly paid criminal attorneys. The New Yorker has called him one of Manhattan's leading attorneys. John Kroger, the former Attorney General of Oregon and current president of Reed College, called Fisher one of the top defense attorneys in the nation, and without question a brilliant trial lawyer. Fisher has been the recipient of many honors, including being invited to address the United States Second Circuit Federal Judicial Conference. This guy must have defended really, truly innocent people to be invited to a federal, Second Circuit Federal Judicial Conference, and to be called, without question, a brilliant trial lawyer by the former Oregon Attorney General. I mean, surely he's not representing bad guys, and because he's so smart, he's getting him off the hook. You wouldn't be invited back to the government for that, right? I mean, he's probably a great defense attorney for good guys. Let's see what else we got here. Career. As a young lawyer, Fisher represented the writer Jack Henry Abbott in a murder trial, in what many call the trial of the decade, and was counsel for Joseph Bonanno, also known as Joey Bananas, the boss of the Bonanno crime family. Oh, yeah, about that who he's representing thing. I guess we just found out, huh? Another one of his clients was Mary Lucy, a senior vice president at J. Walter Thompson, amid allegations relating to the alleged theft of $30 million. And Lawal Burrell, an oil executive and financier in the largest white-collar prosecution ever at that time. Fisher also represented Italian financier Michele Sindona, served as lead counsel in the Pizza Connection trial. What? The longest federal criminal trial in U.S. history, and the French Connection trial. Well, if I hover my mouse over Pizza Connection trial, the Pizza Connection trial was a criminal trial against the Sicilian and American mafias that took place in New York City, New York. The trial centered on a number of independently owned pizza parlors used as fronts for narcotic sales and collections that imported $1.565 billion in heroin. So they have pizza parlors, pizza joints that aren't really carrying the sell. It's just a front. They're doing massive criminal activity. Where else have we heard about a pizza parlor with another different type of crazy criminal activity like child sex trafficking? Oh yeah, Pizzagate. The pizza place in Washington, D.C. The guy, what was his name? Something pizza. I forget his name. George Stephanopoulos, something. Not George. I can't think of his name. Right next to the Podesta. Like, everybody was right there. And they even had the little pedo symbol. Remember, we're changing our logo now. We're going to change our logo to something different. Sorry, it's already on the internet. We've got copies. Nice try. Interesting, huh? What's the French Connection trial? The French Connection was a scheme through which heroin was smuggled from Turkey to France and then to the United States and Canada. The operation started in the 1930s, reached its peak in the 1960s, and was dismantled in the 1970s. Are we sure about that? On May 15, 1974, Fisher won a landmark decision in the Court of Appeals in the Second Circuit. Isn't that the same Second Circuit he was brought in as a special guest? United States versus Toscanino, which in effect overruled Supreme Court rulings precluding American judicial review of foreign U.S. law enforcement conduct. An immediate result of the decision was an order from the Secretary of State, criminal known as Henry Kissinger, to every United States embassy in the world directing all American personnel to abstain from participating in torture. In recent years, Fisher secured the dismissal of the indictment alleging corruption and related offenses filed against Roy L. Schneider, MD, the former governor of the United States Virgin Islands. Really? Who was that guy that also had his own island in the Virgin Islands? What was his name again? Oh, I almost forgot. Yeah, right. Jeffrey Epstein. Huh. You don't say. He also won an acquittal at the trial of Demetrios, who was alleged to have traded illegally with black nations. Fisher represented billionaire Pushtun tribal chieftain and political Haji Ayoub Afridi, whose jurisdiction covers the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province in Pakistan. Most recently, Fisher defended Alberto Villar, an investor and billionaire philanthropist, who was head of the asset management firm Merindo Investment Advisors, against securities fraud charges brought by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York. Fisher is also counsel to Haji Bashir Nurzai, whose prosecution and subsequent conviction by the U.S. government has raised significant issues involving United States foreign policy. In 2009, Fisher represented the general counsel of a major telecom company on charges of stock options backdating. Fisher has been frequently profiled in major publications such as Time Magazine, I'm sure, an elitist magazine, sure, the New York Times, of course, another one, the National Law Journal, of course, and the New York Law Journal, of course. He lectures frequently at leading universities, including Yale and Columbia, on criminal defense and is widely known as an expert on cross-examination. Fisher is also regularly called on to give legal commentary on national television. In 2012, Fisher was suspended from New York federal courts for breach of fiduciary duty responsibility to a client. On March 14, 2013, the Grievance Committee of the United States District Court in Manhattan barred Fisher from practicing before that court, based on the committee's findings that Fisher had improperly kept money from a client that Fisher was supposed to use to repay a third party. He can still practice in the state of New York, was the final note in Wikipedia. Real class act guy, huh? You can see who rubs shoulders with who. And it, again, goes back to George Carlin. It's a big effing club, and you ain't in it. This guy is defending effing criminals, huge criminals, massive criminals from the mob to massive white-collar, multi-million-dollar frauds, securities crimes. Like, Jesus Christ. He's invited. Where was that again? Let me scroll up. He was invited to address the United States Second Circuit Federal Judicial Conference. Oh, prestigious. New York Times, Man of the Year or something or another. New Yorker called him Manhattan's leading attorney. He's also one of, again, former Oregon Attorney General. He's one of the top defense attorneys in the nation. And without question, a brilliant trial lawyer who has been barred. By the United States District Court in Manhattan. Based on the committee's findings that Fisher had improperly kept money from a client that Fisher was supposed to use to repay a third party. He's tied to Epstein. Epstein's tied to the Iranian. Whoa. What else do we have? Peter Strzok grew up in Iran. Lisa Page's mother, his lovebird mother, was an Iranian who was natural. What do they call that? When a citizen is naturalized or whatever, like they come over from another country, you're naturalized as a U.S. citizen. That was her mother. Are you starting to see a little bit of a problem with Iran? And who's trying to infiltrate our country from the inside out? Wasn't the founding fathers that had talked about, we could withstand any fight, any war, none of that, that's fine. It's from within that would destroy our country. If anyone was to ever infiltrate our government from within, an enemy from within, we would never, ever be able to withstand that. And you can see why. And if Hillary Clinton had won that election, oh my God. Half the stuff I've been able to talk about on YouTube, we wouldn't have even known about. And there's a whole bunch more we still don't know about that's going to be coming that I can't wait to at some point talk about when it comes. Oh my God, Comey's arrested. Oh my God, we found out they were money laundering through this thing. Oh my God, trafficking of humans. Oh my God. I can't wait to report on it. The question is, will I even have a channel when that time comes? Or is YouTube going to find a way to get rid of me? Go to Twitter. Oh, no one can see your replies. No one can see your posts. Oh, can't reply to that person. Can't reply to... Okay. Trust me, they know it's coming. You heard Bette Midler. You heard Adam Schiff. Oh, don't pay attention to the deep fake videos and stuff. They're coming. Trust me, they're coming, and it's going to be fake. Don't believe what you see. Bette Midler said that too? Really? Who in God's name would have even told her such a thing? Why would you ever post that as a musician, songwriter, whatever, on your Twitter? Why would you say that? Doesn't make sense, does it? The people are in panic mode. Those people, those criminals. As the poster that Q likes to post, like a movie scene poster. Panic in D.C. There's a panic, all right. Take care.